Hello everyone, hope you're well. I'm kind of toying on what to call this video today, so if you've clicked it, you already know the title, but part of me wanted to do like you know, my first 10 days on ADHD medication, but I'm like, that's just a repeat of the last video, but more time. But the reason I wanted to do that was because it's been quite useful telling the story of what I've been up to with the lens of being on these tablets for the first time. Because, like with the last one, I'd been on them 4 or 5 days and it had been a big difference to my time. But then the rest of the week kind of went on and there were some changes, and then I had to up my medication, and then I was away for the weekend. So I feel like I'm going to do the same sort of format, but you've already clicked it, so I don't know why I'm justifying the title, but I'm kind of like, it's still going to be my usual recap of the times and telling my stories, but also just with that flavor of this is how the Elvanse tablets made all the difference along the way, and how they impacted on things and how certain things affected them and that kind of thing. So hopefully that'll be useful to you. If you just want to hear my shenanigans, keep going. But if you want to hear more about the tablets, I put the video up before that says this is how it was at the beginning. And then this video is going to be how I'm getting on the next step. So I've gone up from 30 to 50 mg. So on the Tuesday video, I was suffering with well, not suffering, I was quite enjoying it, if I'm honest. It would be a suffer for a lot of people, but I was quite enjoying the fact that I was reaching the likes of 3, 4 a.m. and still awake, chatting to people. And then I would go to bed and I'd wake up at 8 and I'd be like, oh, I'm all right. And that continued until I think by Thursday, I was starting to be, I'd go to bed at 2, 3, and I'd wake up being a bit like, oh God, like I'm okay, but can't do that every day. Thursday, I felt really tired by the end of the day, and I was like, okay, I'm actually falling asleep at midnight. I feel like it's all balancing out. But then I was nervous because I was going away for the weekend, and the friends I was visiting are renowned for their late sleep patterns, let's say. So we were very much like expecting to be up until 2, 3, 4 or later. And then I didn't know what time we were getting up. I figured we wouldn't be getting up super early, but we were traveling up to see each other. We wanted to make the most of it. So I didn't want to be Mr. Oh my God, it's midnight, I'm falling asleep. But I also didn't want to be like banging on the drum at 4:30 in the morning while my friend's trying to have a kip in our hotel room. So I was just kind of like, I don't know what to expect. But luckily, Friday morning was the day that my tablets went from 30 to 50. So I took it and I was like, I don't really feel any different. I dropped my daughter at school. I had to drop my sons at school. It was all just kind of going along. They were all just fine. It was a lovely little, like, yeah, see you later. And then I think my plan had been to go home, sit around on my hands for a bit going, I really want to leave. I really want to leave, and just be excited. But then I needed to get some petrol. And as I was in the petrol station, I just thought, well, I already packed the car because I was just being me, getting a bit like, I'll get it all done now and then I'll be fine. I could turn right and go home, or I could turn left and just leave for Manchester. So I turned left and left for Manchester. And I think it had just kicked in. I just felt like, yeah, let's go. Drove all the way up there. The drive was absolutely fine. There was no problem. I felt the impatience a little bit of getting stuck in traffic. And there was a point where I was in traffic so long, I did a Pokémon raid. I was telling someone that I was frantically tapping it. I could see that the lights had changed and the long queue I was in was starting to move, and I was still stationary. And I was like, tap, 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 tap. And then it ended. And then I had to drive the car forward with my phone on the side while the Pokemon was waiting to be caught. And I was thinking, okay, I can't have it like not go red and then I'm out of the traffic. And I've just got this bloody screen there. I'm going to be like, I'll have to pull over and catch this. Otherwise it's going to annoy the heck out of me that it's just there. But luckily, we stopped again. I caught the Pokemon. And then I just went back to focusing on what I was doing. But being behind those things, God, just as a bit of a side thing, I was behind a lorry the whole way. I rinsed through like a whole bottle of windscreen cleaner. And then on the way back, I just had to keep pouring water on my car from like, there was a point where I couldn't really see through the window and I'd run out of water, but I was pouring a water bottle through the window onto my car because I ran out of fluid, which was, very fun and, very good to be driving in the dark with that. But I got all the way up there, and it's kind of a good job I left early because I also have this thing I've started doing because when I listen to music for too long, I start to get bored of the album. If I've played through it all the way through a lot, I go through a bit of a phase where I'm like, I can't listen to it, and then I have to give it a couple of days before I start to feel a bit better. And that's where I'd kind of got to with this. It was like, I've listened to this whole play through once on this journey. The songs are starting to repeat, and I'm not in the mood for it. So again, while I was in traffic, I thought, you know what, I'll nip into Discord and I'll see if anyone's about. They can just chat to me. It'd be like having a podcast on in the background or being on a phone call. So I did that, and someone came in just as I was getting into Manchester, and then I got lost. Basically, my sat nav was telling me to go to this like car park that was the station I was picking my friend up at, but it wasn't. It wasn't a car park. It wasn't the station. It was just some sort of back alley of an office or something. And I drove around in circles for about 25, 30 minutes, just being like, ah. And then I pulled over to figure that out. And I got a message saying that my mate's train was like coming in the next 10 minutes. So I was like, oh God, I really need to get there now. But I managed to park and get there literally as he was stepping off the train. So I kind of felt like I'd inadvertently, by leaving like an hour early, which I think ADHD folk will really understand, you either leave early or you leave late. You never arrive on time, but like it's all chaos. I managed to arrive on time because of the chaos, which I was just like, yes, that is a good sign. That is a win for the weekend. So my friend Matt come off the train, walked to the car, all good. We went to our hotel, we checked in, all good. I sort of suggested to my friends I'd come and get them from the coach station. I'd looked on the map and thought the coach station was quite near, and then it turned out there were multiple, and the traffic was a bit of a nightmare. But I went and got them, although I did get lost again. I parked around the back, and I was like, I'm out the back, and then they were like, where is the back? So I was trying to send them a pin, and it wouldn't send. It kept just sending them the words, you have been sent a pin, or directions to here, but not the link. And so when they finally like found me because I got them a pin, I was trying to be all like, hey, good to see you again. Nice to meet you, to the people I didn't know. But as I'm saying nice to meet you, I noticed two traffic wardens like walking towards me, and I hadn't paid for any parking because I only expected to be there a minute. So like, they're mid-sentence going, oh, hi, this is my name, nice to meet you. And I'm just getting in my car and starting the engine like, if they try to ticket me, I'm just going to pull away. And I sort of said it. I was like, there's traffic wardens there. I'm just going to make it look like I'm leaving so that if they try anything, I can just leave. But I don't think anybody heard me. So one was getting in the car as I was starting the engine. And then I was like, I think they were about to be like, what are you doing? And I was like, there's traffic wardens there. I'm just getting ready to like fight them or whatever I need to do. I was just in this full on. I do not know what's going to happen, but all I know is I'm not getting a ticket here. I'm just gonna, do the stupid thing. But then they just carried on walking like they hadn't even noticed we were there. So I was like, okay, this was a real clever sheepdog style hello, wasn't it? Like, they're mid-sentence greeting me and I'm like hopping off to drive away and leave them hanging. Not that I was planning on leaving them. It was more a case of I wanted to just, I don't know. I didn't know what the plan was. I just thought. So they got in and we were just chatting. I dropped them off at Bex's. It was Bex's birthday that we were celebrating in Manchester. So I dropped them off at where she was staying. Went and met up with Matt at the hotel. We walked around there. My directions are terrible. I've already been lost twice on this journey. So I was following a sat nav along the streets, just watching it tell me to keep walking forward and turn left because I'm terrible. But I found that my concentration on these was still good. Like I was saying to Matt that I'm able to track the conversation a lot better. We caught up on things. I didn't trail off mid tangent. I didn't like lose what people were saying. I was able to concentrate on what was going on in the car. I could remember people's names, which I think is quite a big thing for me. Normally, I think people tell me their names, and it's trying to push that through the noise into the memory banks. But I was able to do that. Although that might just be because I kind of knew their names in advance anyway, so it's not scientific to say that. But I'd also noticed that with Ollie through the week that he'd be telling me some big thing about Terraria or Nino Cooney that he's been playing, and I could just be like, oh cool, yeah, and I'd ask him questions, whereas normally I'd be like, I'm sorry, you've lost me, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I'm not I'm trying to listen, but can so that was a big bonus. That was really cool. Once we got there, it was just fun hanging out. I was super nervous about multiple things. I was nervous about drinking on my meds. I was nervous about this is going to sound really like, I can't think of the right way to put it without sounding like a big head. I was a little bit worried about not being as random or me. Like they'd said they won't affect your personality, but I was very worried about some of the things people enjoy about listening to me on podcasts or having a conversation with me is the very random, tangenty, I'll say something and they'll go, what on earth? Where did that come from? Or what the hell? Or, I'll just come out with something that I haven't really thought through. And because the thoughts are so quiet now, like honestly, I know, like I'm thinking through what I'm saying as I'm saying it still, I still wouldn't, I don't think I'll ever learn to plan what I'm saying before I say it. It's just coming out of me, but I know roughly where I'm going with it. But I was worried that I wasn't, because I'm almost like in the old days, I'd be going, there's a thought, throw it out. There's a thought, throw it out. Oh, I've just thought of this, throw it out. I was thinking that I wasn't going to be like that I was just going to be like one thought, one thought, one thought. And it was just going to be very straight and, not as fun. And I was a little bit nervous. And I'd seen a few jokes online where people were saying, like, talking to their therapist, and they, well, what do you mean? I'm funnier off my meds isn't a justification for stopping them. And I was like, that I don't want that to be me. I don't want that to be me. And I know it's still early days, but I still was like, I don't want that to be me. But when we were there, I just felt like we were just chatting. It was fun. It was funny. There was moments where I did say something random, and Matt or Bex would be like, "What the hell? What?" I said a couple of things. We went for a Japanese food meal that was nice and fun, and I sort of come out with something that was a little bit sharp in a jokey way, which people found funny, but I was very much like, oof, I'm so glad that landed without offending anyone. You know how it is. You say a joke and it was something along the lines of, while you were learning code, I was learning to talk to girls. And it was just like, yeah, I know them well enough to know that was funny to them, but it was very much like, okay, I wasn't sure whether I'd still do stuff like that because I hadn't thought it through. It like came out of my brain as soon as it had formed in my brain. There was no kind of in between where I was like, I've got I wasn't sitting there going, oh, I've got a good line, I'm going to get him. It was just, yeah, that's how I roll. But no, we had a really good time. We ate our food. We went back and hung out. We sort of just drank lots. And again, I thought I had been practicing by drinking beer at home, which sounds mad, I know, but I do like to be cautious, and especially if I can be cautious while getting drunk, because why not? So at home, I'd been like drinking beers and thinking, well, I don't have any hangover effects. I'm not getting any headaches. I'm not having a problem. But I was like, okay, I'm going to get I got some cider, and I think we had other drinks there, and it was all fine. There was other bits we did, that I was kind of like, will this affect me? But that was absolutely fine as well. The only time I thought I was getting ill in the evening, and I won't go into the full details, but I thought I was getting ill in the evening, and then it was super hot, and I thought I was the only one who was experiencing that heat, and I started to panic a bit, and then I thought it was the tablets that were causing me to act funny, because I started to have a bit of an anxiety spiral about it. I think what I was thinking was like, I'm really hot, and I feel a bit messy now from it, and I don't want to make a mess like by being really hot, and then I was like, I feel really like tired, and am I going to be all right to get in the car and get home? But then I turned that into, am I going to be okay to get up, walk to the door, like put my shoes on, go out the door, go down the stairs, go down the next stairs, get in the car, talk to the person, sit in the car. I turned that 3-step, leave, car, return to my hotel room. Honestly, I turned it into 20, 25 steps, and I kept running through them in my head. I was just going, get up, shoes on, coat on, door, steps, car, but goodbye. And after I played that through my head enough times, I was just like, I booked an Uber, but I thought we'd discuss this. I think there was a bit of a discussion around, we should go soon, let's book a cab. But I was very much like, okay, I'll book it in a minute. Oh, they're only a minute away, I'll leave it. And then I was like, oh, I think I was just like, I feel a bit rough. And I just went and booked it. And then I got up to go out, and Bex thought we were going out for a bit of fresh air, but I was just like going out to get in the Uber, thinking that Matt was behind me. And then Bex was like, I need to go tell Matt you're going, and I was like, I just abruptly ended the night. And then when I got in the car, and like immediately I'd done like half of the list of 20 things I'd built up in my head, I immediately calmed down. I was just like, I'm actually all right. Like, I think that was just a panic spiral out of nowhere, because I just got a bit anxious about being hot, and it turned out everyone was hot. The heating in the building was just broken. A few people got really hot as well. I ended up staying up for another hour or so at the hotel, and I thought we could have stayed out. I felt a bit silly, but I thought that's interesting to me, because it means my anxiety is not 100% nailed yet. I don't think that's the only time it's come up for the whole time I've been on these tablets. Anxiety is completely gone. Otherwise, I've gone to the supermarket and not been anxious. I've gone into school to drop the boys off multiple times and not been anxious. I did have a little bit last night where I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. I think that's more of my autism side. The boys were talking excessively yesterday, and I really wanted them to stop, but I didn't want to be mean and say like, stop talking, because they're children. But I was just like, for the love of God, like, Ben was laughing maniacally, and Ollie kept trying to tell me about stuff, and I was like, I really just need silence, and I don't know how to get this without going and sitting in the other room. But that didn't happen at any other point. I'm trying to think what else. There was something cool that Bex. So we were exchanging our Christmas presents that we'd bought each other, or birthday presents we bought each other. So for Christmas, I'd got Matt a game, and I'd got Bex a Hollow Knight character. And then for Bex's birthday, we'd been talking about like what we were gonna get, and then she was like, "Well, you're already coming up. Don't do anything. You don't need to do anything. Just leave it. It's fine." But then we'd been talking about Christmas and how socks are a really good gift, and I was like, "There must be Hollow Knight socks out there. There must be other branded socks of different things." So I'd ordered this like AliExpress Hollow Knight socks pair, but it wasn't going to come. It said, "Oh, it's going to come like end of Feb, mid Feb sometime." So I was just like, "It'll just come through the post." And Bex will be like, "What the hell is this?" And then she'll think like, "Oh, the only person I've ever spoken to about Hollow Knight socks will be Sheepdog, so they're obviously from him." I just thought, it's casual. It's like, meh, I'm not really making it, But they like literally arrived on the Friday as we were like they were leaving, and I was like, "I've just got a message saying you've got a package for your letterbox." She's like, "Oh, nice." So that was cool, but she did a 2-part gift, but the other part hasn't happened yet. But she got me these absolutely amazing stickers, which I need to put in my backdrop. So I've got a few more of them. So like these are like one of each of the ones, but like a little Tinkerton drawn by Bex in her style, which I think is absolutely incredible. Tinkerton's become my like favorite Pokemon, especially of Gen 9, but it's up there for the whole series. Dedenne, which you can see in the background. Before Tinkerton, Dedenne was probably my little chaos hamster that I absolutely love. Got an Azumarill, which is definitely a favorite. I think everyone loves Azumarill. Snorlax, which again is an absolute legendary, fantastic Pokemon. And then the mummy of them all, Lapras. And I just love the little faces on them. Like I love how they're super content and just like, yeah, no, I know I'm the queen. I know I'm the best. So I've got a big pile of them to put up. And I want to put them like, I was thinking about either putting them along here. Oh, God. Like on this bit, or maybe sticking them to something along here. But what I don't want to do is stick them to that, and then because we might get rid of that bookshelf. So I'm thinking I might put them on paper, and then blue tack the paper to something, and then I can remove the blue tack. I need to figure out how to do it properly because I've always been a bit like my kids were really into stickers, and I'd always be a bit like because I used to be chill about it, and then we bought Emily a pack of stickers, and she literally covered her bed in them. And it was fine. It looked a bit like chaotic, but it was her, it was her thing. She liked it. But then she grew out of them and wanted to take them all off. And her bed looked so manky when it had all the dried glue on it. And then Ollie's done the same thing as he's grown up. So with Ben, we're just like, no, like do something else with them, But so I don't want to then do the exact same thing that I've always told them not to do. But I'm quite looking forward to putting them up. I think they've got a lot of cute personality. They're an awesome gift. They basically, I really like the fact she remembered all my favourites and managed to just draw them so well. I mean they're outstanding drawings. Like I embarrassed myself a little bit because when I opened them I didn't realise she'd drawn them. I was like, I knew she's that good, but I got them. I was like, oh wow, you bought me Pokemon stickers. That's fantastic. And then she made Matt ones of his mascot from he's working on a big project. There's like a little mascot girl and other characters. I think it's just one character actually, but when I saw that she'd made them, I was like, oh, of course you made them. You're like this amazing artist. Of course you made them. But yeah, I'm just so impressed how good they look. You saw them and they're amazing. I'm well impressed. I've kept them away from the boys at the moment because I'm nervous that they will want to touch them and poke them, and Ben will bend them the moment he touches them. But that was great. I love them. I'm well happy with that as a gift. We slept all right. I feel like we slept in a hotel all right. I was worried that I was going to be laying in an unfamiliar place buzzing because I'd kind of come back and the anxiety was wearing off. But I was very chilled out and I slept quite well. I think we got maybe 5 hours and I was kind of like, I hope I'm going to survive on this. But on the Saturday, we had quite I'm just checking my notes. I'm trying to remember everything we did. We had quite a hectic day on the Saturday. We got up. We had our hotel breakfast. I ordered a hotel breakfast before I knew my tablets were going to lower my appetite. Feel like that was silly, if I'm honest. I feel like in hindsight, I would not have ordered a hotel breakfast for both days because basically I gave it a good go, but we went in there and it was like the usual hotel. So I'm obviously vegetarian, so I couldn't eat the bacon and the sausages, but I could get like vegan sausages, egg, beans, tomato. For the first time in my life, I left some food on the plate. First time ever. Normally what I do is I have the fry up and then I have like some like granola muesli with yogurt on it and maybe a pancake. But all of those things were what I got and sat down with, and then I left bits of them in each of the bowls and was just like, Holy moly! Like, I couldn't also normally I'd have like orange juice or watermelon or yeah, I think it's watermelon, something like that. And I couldn't have them because they interact with ADHD meds and mess them up. I had to have apple juice, which is fine. I like that as well. But like, I'm glad I'd seen that in advance. Someone happened to say online, so that's why I'm saying it now. You can't have citrus and you can't have I think it's watermelon. Grapefruit is the one, sorry, not watermelon. They will affect tablets quite a lot. So I happened to see that and I thought, okay, I'm really glad I did because I would have gone straight for at least the orange juice. But I stuck with apple. It was absolutely fine. I made a mistake of having what I thought wasn't a coffee. We went to a place and they were listing all these drinks, and it looked like they had like you get chai lattes. They had chai latte and a load of other latte types listed, and I ordered one. I think it was honey and cardamom or something like that. And then when I got it, it was actually quite a strong coffee, and that made me a little bit jittery for a little while. But I was told to avoid coffee, and I feel like that probably was part of the reason I was getting tired. Was I'd gone from having 8 cups of coffee a day to no coffee and only tea, and by the Thursday that was obviously hitting me hard. Whereas, yeah, I mean, I think I kind of leveled out a bit. Like I'm only drinking tea now, and I feel absolutely fine. So we went out. We went. I'm sort of impressed with myself a little bit because we went shopping and went to some amazing shops. I can't remember the name of the building. There's a shop in Manchester that's like, it's like if you ever been to Camden, all the cool shops they have there that sell like alternative clothes and alternative lifestyle stuff, and they had like an LGBTQ plus bookstore in there. They had a whole like area that sold like different LGBTQ plus like flags and socks and things for people, badges. That was very cool. A lot of the guys went and bought stuff in there. They had like a card shop, a figurine shop, like a plant shop, loads of fashion, Japanese sort of shop that sold lots of different things. I think they had like a maid service shop, but then also other stuff in there. Yeah, it was awesome. We spent hours in there. We looked at so much cool stuff. I actually didn't buy anything, and afterwards I was kind of like, how did I go through all that stuff? I saw so many awesome things. I didn't buy anything. I do feel like I'm very indecisive. I mean, everyone who knows me and has been shopping with me knows I'm terrible at that. I will not buy stuff, and I did my usual, looking for a hat, looking for a bag, kept looking to see if there's any tops that like I saw. One of my favorite all-time albums is "Sing the Sorrow" by AFI, and I saw a hoodie that was identical. I saw a hoodie and a poster that were identical to one that I owned. I bought it at Reading Festival in like 2003. It was just like black with the red sort of album logo in the middle. And I was like, ooh, it wasn't the one I saw wasn't in my size. And I didn't want to buy a poster and have to carry it around all day. But I was like that close. And I just thought, oh man, I need to get that hoodie again. Like, I think I left it in my old flat. So I don't own it anymore, obviously. But I mean, I've also put on like a lot of weight since then. But I miss all of that. I used to have all of that stuff. I used to be heavy into wearing different random band shirts and hoodies and whatever. But the shop was just epic. And I messaged Kev saying, you'd want to come here, you'd love it. It was very, very cool. Bex was showing us basically where she hung out as a teenager when she lived around that area, and all the time she'd spend in there. And that is just a great building. I recommend if you're ever in Manchester, go there. I'll find the name of it and I'll put it in the comments because it was just great. And we also we went round the corner to, I want to say it was either... what was it called? It was like it was something 64, like ND 64 or NO 64. It was like a gaming bar pub thing. It had like very neon glow in the dark. I can't remember the right word. It was like glow in the dark paint all over it. So it was dark, but the ceiling, sorry, was all highlighter kind of colours that glowed in the dark. And you could go to the bar and order alcohol, but you could also spend £8 to get like 15 tokens. And then they just had loads of arcade machines, load of consoles. I watched as Bex and her friends were playing Dance Revolution, which I used to play all the time when I was a teenager, and I feel like I was very brave for ever to go on it, but I wasn't great. I wasn't as good as Bex. I did all right. I didn't fail any of them. I got like, I don't know, D's and C's. I might have even got a B on one. But it was funny because I didn't realize your coins paid for 3 goes, so I put it in. I did the dance. I was like, right, yeah, that was fun. And then there's another dance, and then I danced that one. And I was like, oh my god. And then now like there's one more actually, and I was like, oh. So I did that, and so I felt knackered. But equally, Bex must have done like 12 or 15 dances, I think, because she danced with like 4 or 5 different people, which I thought was very like energetic compared to me. But I felt like, again, I felt good because I don't think I would have had that kind of energy. And I feel like the tablets have helped me be more lively and active, and I might have been a bit like I haven't really got going yet. I feel like at that time, I don't know what time of day it was afternoon actually, so I might have been up and running by then, but normally I wouldn't be up and running until like 2 in general, and it's really hard for me to drop the kids off at school and all that because they need all that at 8, but I'm very much like, okay, I'm not awake yet, and I have to really, really push. It's like pushing a rock up a hill and then finding that when you get there, there's a rock towing truck that I can tow it with the rest of the way. That's how I kind of am, but this day I was just like, yeah, bouncing around playing that. I played Burnout Revenge, I think it was, with my friend Lucy on one of the consoles. These guys were playing, and they invited us to join them, which is just very cool. We weren't as good as them, although I think Lucy won one of the games, but on the other game she accidentally blew up straight away before the race had even started, which was quite entertaining. But they were lovely. That was fun. I played Metallica Pinball, which I got quite a good score on. I feel I played some Guitar Hero, which I hadn't played in years. I wasn't great at it, but I was okay. Like I think I got like 50% of Bex's score, but I was happy enough with that. She's good at it, but it was good. It was great fun. We then went back to theirs, and we had like pizza, and we drank all night and stayed up late. But interspersed with all that was Pokemon Community Day as well, which was great fun, and obviously my interest, so that was good. I got to sort of do that while we did it. Again, with the appetite thing, I feel like in the morning it really affected me. But then later on, like for lunch, I had a smaller lunch. But then at dinner time, I had a whole pizza. I accidentally ordered a vegan pizza, which is probably part of the reason it wasn't as heavy. But I had a vegan pizza that like wasn't cut very well. So after I'd eaten the half they'd bothered to cut, I rolled the other half up and just ate it like a fajita. And because in my defense, partially because it was just pastry with a bit of sauce and loads of corn and vegetables on it. And I was looking at it thinking, this is basically a wrap now. Like it's just the wrap with sauce and everything already laid out on it. It'd be like if you did that and then rolled it. But I ate it. It was lovely. It was good. My appetite was probably okay for that. I was a bit nervous that I was going to be like, well, not nervous, but I was expecting to have to throw some of it away. But I think maybe we just ate at a decent hour that I was hungry enough. So I felt like, not too much of an issue. I had no anxiety that time, although I did start to, I think I dipped a little bit. Like the energy in the room, everyone was getting a bit tired because we had a really long day. And then I think we started playing Mario Kart, and then the energy picked up again. And I think in that bit, I went with it. So when everyone was dipping a little bit, I dipped, and I was a bit like, oh. And then when we were playing, I suddenly was straight back up again. So with Mario Kart, I was terrible at it. Like, I haven't played it in a long time, but I learned. I feel like normally if I'm terrible, I'm terrible. If I'm good, I'm good. And there's never really an in-between. But in this, it was like I got progressively better, which I think is the concentration helping. Although I kept kind of getting to the end of races in first place and then suddenly finding myself in 5th or 6th because something had gone wrong. But I think that's just Mario Kart, in it. But we had a really good time there, and that was fun. We are going to have a tournament at some point that I need to practice for, because like Bex and her partner are just super good at Mario Kart, and they're going to thrash everyone. And I know that there's people on the server that are extra good as well. I keep thinking I should probably do some Mario Kart streams at some point where I just invite people to join us in. I don't know how many people you can play on Mario Kart online together, but if I can get multiple people to just join in a stream for 2 hours and we do a couple of GPs, that might be good practice. So if you're watching and you watch my streams or you want to join in, maybe we could set that up. I need to get better than Bex. That needs to be the aim. I don't think it's possible, if I'm honest. I saw her time trials, but I need to try. We need to get there. So yeah, Sunday was our very chilled day. Again, I had a really late night. We got back at maybe 3. I asked Matt a question, and we ended up talking for 2 hours about the answer to that question, to the point where he answered me, I answered him, and mid-sentence I realised he'd fallen asleep, and I was like, you swine. So I took a picture of him like he used to do with Pab and sent it to Bex and a friend of ours, just going, look at him. I was mid-sentence. Although I think I literally got up to turn the light off and he woke up. I lay there for half an hour thinking, I don't know how to turn the lights off. I don't want to wake him. And the moment I moved an inch, he woke up. And I was like, but I slept all right. But Sunday morning, I was absolutely fine. I'm trying to think what we did. I had another breakfast. I went lower that time. I just respected the fact my appetite was all over the place. We had a very chilled day, just kind of saying goodbye. People were going at different times and that kind of thing. It was just nice sitting around the table and chatting. When we dropped Matt at the station, Bex was having to go on the piano in Manchester Victoria, I think it was. Manchester Piccadilly. She was playing the piano and we were just standing around watching that, which is really nice. And then this guy kind of came over and clapped, and was like, "That was really good." And she sort of said, "Do you want to have a go?" And so he sat down and he was like, "Oh, I'm a bit rusty," before belting out like the most amazing medley of songs that he'd kind of pushed together, ranging from like "Let It Go" from Frozen, Harry Potter, a few pop songs, a few just classical pieces that he'd put in. He did Pirates of the Caribbean, I think he did Lord of the Rings. There was just loads, and it was really magical. I felt like we were just standing there listening. We were chatting a little bit. A random boy and his dad come over. The dad says, "You wait here, I'm going to go over here." The boy just started beatboxing along to it, which was really random. And then having a chat with the guy about piano. I think that he must have been into piano, which is why he stopped. But I felt really good because I thought it was really nice and sweet and a great sort of moment. And then like Bex's partner came over and she was all excited, telling him what happened and how great it was. And I thought, oh, that's nice, because it was her birthday weekend and I think we'd all had a great time, but I just wanted to know that she'd had a solid one, because she didn't plan on doing anything at first. So it was nice to see how giddy she was about, like, yeah, that was so cool. It came out of nowhere, and the poor bloke had said something about how he'd lost his wallet, which meant he'd missed his flight and his train, and he was basically just stranded. I did feel in hindsight as we were leaving, I was like, we should have probably done something, but we agreed he'll probably be fine. He's a grown man, but I was a little bit like, we didn't ask. I didn't ask if he was okay. I didn't ask if he had anywhere to go. Not that I could have housed him or anything, but I might have been able to say, go over there, talk to that person, they'll help you. But hopefully he's not just in Manchester still playing the piano. If anyone wants to go and check Manchester Piccadilly, just see if he's there. It's 2 days since that happened. Trying to think what else now. So I drove home, dropped them off, drove home. The drive home was actually all right. I think it wasn't until right near the end, it must have been like 8:30, 9, and it was about 8 o'clock that I was nearly home, and I started to feel a bit tired. I had the voice chat on and people were keeping me entertained, which was a lifesaver, I reckon, because there were a couple of points where I couldn't see through my windows and I was really trying to focus on the lights, and I just needed someone to keep me kind of focused and steady on what was going on. Because I didn't have anything to clean my window with, and I couldn't stop. There was no like lay-by. But that was fine. That cleared eventually. There was a couple of bits where I was just thinking I'm really tired, but I was dipping and then coming back up. And when I got home, the boys were like absolutely ecstatic to see me, really excited, to the point where like I spent an hour like giving them hugs, carrying them around, telling them about my weekend. They kept telling me that they loved me more than anything and they missed me. And oh God, the heart felt like, I come back like, my God, like normally they're a bit like, hi, or like Claire will go, Dad's home, say hello, and they'll be like, oh, hi. Or Ben will go, what did you bring me home? But this time they were just like properly giddy to see me, which I thought was really nice. It was very uplifting. Once they're in bed, we started watching Alice in Borderland, which I've been watching to tie this into the ADHD a little bit. We've been watching it with subtitles. I could not cope with subtitles usually, and I'm still a little bit stupid because I forget that I was supposed to be reading, and I start looking at my phone, or I went to get a drink thinking I can hear it still, and then realised I can't see what they're saying. But I think that's just a learning curve, isn't it? But we've watched that with subtitles and it's been fine. I know what's going on. Whereas the last time I tried to watch with subtitles, I just felt like I was concentrating on the subtitles too much, and I couldn't have told you what anyone looked like or what was going on the screen or anything like that, because I wasn't reading. I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at the words, and it was taking me a second to get them. But watching this on subs has been absolutely fine. It's a great program. Really enjoyed it. We've watched quite a lot of that this week. And yeah, it's just been a great weekend. I had another uplifting moment yesterday. My mother-in-law rang me and said that my wife had told her about my ADHD diagnosis. She just wanted to say, like, well done, congratulations for getting it sorted. Glad the meds are working well. Really proud of you. We're here if you need us. We love you lots. All of this sort of stuff. And I was like, what a nice call. It was quite funny because I was like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. And then neither of us knew how to wrap up the call from there. So we were just kind of like, yeah, thank you. Okay, right. Yeah, see you then. Thank you. But no, I felt really good about that. It was like one of those, I just felt generally loved, and yeah, it was brilliant. I felt very happy with that. So yeah, I feel like I've had a super clear head the whole time. Super anxious, like non-anxious, other than the one little blip, which might not have been, it might have just been circumstance. There might have been other factors. I think the heat, I think I just got in my own head ultimately. I thought it was something else that had caused it, and then in hindsight I'm like adamant that it probably wasn't, and that was probably fine. And I'll try that more in future. I'll test that more in future. I'm not going to get into detail, but yeah, I just feel like I don't think it was anything to do with that. I think it was just me panicking about like looking weird or being making, I don't know, looking gross, I think was the issue. I wanted to lean on the wall, but I was really hot, and I kept thinking, what if I make the wall wet? Which is gross, but I was just, and that was just going in my head at first, set me off, I think. But other than that, yeah, I feel like this is still a massive game changer. The lady that I talked to about my tablets wants to do an update at the end of the week, and she was like, I'm so excited to talk to you, because normally that's the big one where everyone says they've had loads of stuff happen, and it's been really good. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's been my experience. It's been fantastic. And I feel like little things I'm noticing. I don't know whether I always felt like I didn't look at the camera enough in my videos. And I feel like in this video, without meaning to or even focusing on it, I've been looking at it a lot more, and trying much harder to just like talk to you in the camera. Whereas I think before I'd be looking at myself, or I'd hear a noise, or I'd look around, or I'd be doing whatever. But I've been focused on that dot, just talking at it, and I've been conscious that the mic's here. And for Kev, for example, in the podcast, he'd always be saying to me, "Stop moving away from your mic." And I feel like I've been relatively in the same position the whole way through, and that isn't me thinking about it. I only noticed it a minute ago. I was like, I've been looking at that camera the whole time, or at least most of the time. And yeah, little things like that, I love it. This is exactly what little things were bothering me about. Like, why can't I just do this? Why can't I get this? Why do I forget? And I didn't forget, and it's been good. But yeah, long story short, I had a fantastic weekend. I got a little bit of post-event blues yesterday afternoon, where I was suddenly just like, oh, I want to be back there. That was great fun. I had 3 days of great fun, and now I'm back at normality at work. Not to besmirch my family, because they weren't here. They were all out. I was just sat at my desk responding to emails, thinking I could be in Manchester. It's the same whenever I meet up with Kev, Anna, and Pab. I'm just like, oh, I could have been with them. And if I'd have quit my teaching job and gone into YouTube, I could be just freewheeling it with Kev by now. But no, it's fine. It's good. I like my job, and work's been going really well. I feel like I've been a lot better with work. I'm going to end up in a minute, because I feel like I've massively overrun on time here, but work's been really good with this. I feel like I've really benefited from work with these tablets. So long story short, if you are on the fence about Elvanse and you're offered it and you can get it because you've got ADHD, I would recommend trying it, because my experience has been fantastic, and I hope it continues. My dose will go up in a month, and yeah, it's been all benefits so far, and only mild negatives here and there that have only. I mean, I had a too much information. Spoiler, spoiler warning, trigger warning, or issue warning ahead. This is probably fine, but I got really bad nipple pain for a couple of days, and aspirin fixed it quite quickly. But for a couple of days, it was like, ow, my nipples, they hurt so much. What on earth shall I do? And I kept just like taking a tablet, drinking a hot drink or whatever, just thinking, is it cold? Is it pain? Is it my top? But that went away very quickly, and I Googled it, and it is quite a common thing. Other than that, the sleep issue was quite enjoyable, as I say. It's leveled out. I just enjoyed that week where I was basically, able to function while not sleeping. And yeah, I feel like I'm just much better focused. So, and it hasn't affected my personality, as you can hopefully see by the video. I'm still all over the place in terms of tangents and stories, and I feel like hopefully it was entertaining. I'm not even self-doubting. I'm just saying, I think it was fine. If it wasn't, I'll work on it. But that's another thing. I never used to feel like I knew, but I'm happy with what I've said. So deal with it. Okay, right. I'm going to wrap up there, because I've gone over. I feel like my ability to track time is definitely, if I was guessing, I'd have said I was coming up to 20. I'm actually coming up to 40. So a nice long one. Enjoy that. I hope you have watched it all. Let me know if you watched it all. I was going to say let me know if you haven't, but how would you know? Because you wouldn't see this. But yeah, usual stuff though. Tell me how your week's been. Tell me how you're getting on. Tell me your life stuff. I genuinely want to know. I know people say it and then they don't reply, but I do read and reply to everything people comment. If you ever just want to put nonsense there and have me respond, I will respond. Someone sent me the word potato earlier, and I just replied onion. And yeah, they haven't replied. I don't know what they were getting at. If they do, I'm going to say carrot next. So yeah, see what happens. But yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll vlog when I vlog next. I'm aiming to try and do one every Tuesday, but if I do one before then, great. If I don't, I'm aiming for Tuesday at least. We'll build up to a routine again. But yeah, thanks very much for your time, and I'll catch you all soon. Cheers.